Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday Zoom call, community call. Tonight we were talking about the relationship between your now self versus your future self and kind of creating a mental dialogue between the two people. So I actually just started talking about this stuff before I hit record. So I'm kind of backing up for the few people that are on here right now. But so essentially what sparked this thought for myself was Alex Ramosi. He's a podcaster, YouTuber, entrepreneur, great mind of a lot of different things that has helped me out with some different perspective. But something he always talks about is the 40-year-old him would trade everything in the world to go back to the 30-year-old him with all the knowledge and skill sets and everything else that he's kind of built, so that he could obviously get to 40 and be even in a better spot in a lot of ways. But so I looked at this in kind of a different way. I've kind of thought about it from the entrepreneur route, but I've also been thinking about it from just a perspective of living in the now, living in the present, and not being so in that fast forward mode about what's next and embracing just kind of in the moment. So, with me, the past couple of years, kind of juggling both jobs and being so hyper focused on just making all these improvements. For me personally, I've been living a lot more fast paced with it and not. It's been harder to kind of slow down and just embrace the moment because if I'm not teaching, I'm worried about thriving lives. If I'm not working on thriving lives, then I'm thinking about the things that I want to be doing with it and things of that nature. So I think me leaving teaching will give me a lot of a good balance to be able to kind of manage both of them. But so again, this kind of has sparked kind of that. And so then I went on a hike on Wednesday, on Sunday, or excuse me, on Saturday with Boss. We were gone for a couple hours. I just kind of put my phone up for a while just to kind of be with my thoughts, which was good. It's a good way to kind of separate. That's one of those things that I didn't necessarily have the time for it. I made the time for it. I had other things I could have been doing, other work that I could have been doing, but it's one of those things where I knew mentally I needed just an escape for a little bit. Nicole was out of town, so I just had a boss to myself. So I made that time work for myself, so I could go out and kind of get that quality time with myself. So as I was kind of on that walk, I started kind of thinking about that same topic that Alex Ramosi kind of brought up to me or brought up in his podcast with it, but it started kind of making me think we should all have a relationship with our future self. Meaning if our, I'm almost 30. So if I could talk to my 40-year-old self, or if my 40-year-old self could talk to my 30-year-old self now, what would that look like? Same thing for you guys, obviously, insert your own age. But so, what I would assume is 10 years from now, that person, if they could have a conversation with you now, they would say, get your shit together. Or say, hey, you're on the right track. Great job. And so what I want to talk about is kind of create that dialogue, try to think about what would that conversation look like if those two people could be in a conversation at this moment in your life. And chances are, in one way or another, damn well that future self of yours would be like, you need to figure this out. You need to, get your health in check. You need to enjoy being 30 and not being in so fast forward, looking for the next thing. While that's good in some respects, like financial freedom and things like that, it's taking away from the sweet moments of life right now. So like, with Nicole being pregnant, she's only 15 weeks, that kind of made me think, well, shit, like this, we're already almost halfway through pregnancy. And I feel like we just found out and thinking, well, shit, that 6 months from now, we're going to have a little baby and it's not just going to be Nicole and I. So as excited as I am for that chapter, I also am not ready to close this current chapter right now until we absolutely have to. So, it made me kind of think, well, shit, okay, let's slow things down and really just embrace every moment that I have with Nicole right now before that baby gets here. And then when that baby gets here, obviously, and Krista, she's got two little ones right now. Chase, I know that you have a couple kids yourself. I forgot the ages, but three. Yeah, how old are they?
Hold on. You'd think I'm on Zooms all day and I can't even figure the damn thing out right now. I've got three girls, 19, 16, 14.
There you go. So I'm sure, and so Krista, who's on here as well, she's got a couple little ones. One is like a 1-year-old. I think they're the ones that 3 or 4-year-old, something along those lines. But so I'm sure you both can kind of say that every little moment it just goes by like that, and it goes super fast. And so I think that's kind of where we're at with all this stuff. I think you can channel this into whatever your struggle is in life. but it's important to think that right now you have way more control than what you might have in 10 years from now or 20 years from now. And regardless, if you waiting until then that future self is gonna be like, dude, you wasted a decade to get this stuff in check and things of that nature. And Chase, you being here on your first Zoom call with this stuff and just getting started this first week, I feel like I'm almost kind of speaking to you at this moment, and kind of why you started and where your kind of head's at with this stuff. Obviously business wise, you're absolutely crushing it, but health wise, what does that look like, down the road? And I think that's something that, might probably why you're here, but also just something to have that internal dialogue about. So that's kind of where my thoughts are on with it. I don't want to talk just about myself with this. I think I just shared enough kind of about that stuff. But really, I think this is more so I just want you guys to be more mindful of that exact thing. What would that dialogue look like between your future self and your current self? And how would that go? What would they be telling you? And I feel like then if you can actually have that dialogue happen right now, then you're going to have actionable steps. You're going to have things that that you need to work on in the now and not put it off and not wait for something to magically happen in your life. Which I was actually making a reel before we hopped on this. I had a client that had canceled a while back. We were just kind of touching base with things, and not to, I'm not going to put her on blast, obviously, but just said that now is just a hectic time in her life, and I totally understand that and I respect it. And I'd give her just like I would give anybody grace in that same situation. It's hard to juggle a lot of stuff. And I get if you're about to start a new job, if you're about to move, there's so many different reasons why, now isn't the perfect time. But ultimately, I could name 1,000 different things that are going to be part of your normal weeks and your normal months, your normal years. And they are great excuses for why now is not a good time. So again, now is a busy time in her work life. Fantastic. Yeah, definitely not a good time to make huge lifestyle changes. But again, a month from now, there's going to be something new. If it's not that, it's going to be something else. And so we keep pushing all this shit off, and then it's like, well, fuck, nothing's changed, and it's been 5 years, and I'm saying the same stuff. I've got the same issues, except now they're worse issues, and I have the same excuses as I've always had. So I think having, again, kind of creating that self dialogue with your future self and your current self can kind of show the discrepancies between what you're saying right now, while we all care and we all want to give you grace for it, is that doesn't really make that big of a difference. Like, that's your reality, and you're either going to have to work through it, or you're going to have to just put everything on hold until you're forced to deal with it. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts with it. If you guys have anything to share with it, I would love to hear it. This doesn't need to be a super long Zoom unless you guys have thoughts and questions. We can dive on into that stuff. That's about all I had at the moment, though.
The biggest kicker for me was like really finally getting to do it. Like back before I even met you, Marcus, I was already on a weight loss journey.
Yep.
I lost 80 pounds and everything like that, doing my own thing. And I just ultimately just said I had to do it. And I took control of what I was able to do, just subconsciously taking some of your stuff already.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to teach other people how to do it. My biggest thing is trying to get other people with that, with my previous mindset, to think about what my current mindset is. And that's been the biggest struggle with me, is just like, I'm such a helpful guy. I want to be like, hey, oh, you want to do the weight loss? Great. And what are you doing about your stress? What are you going to do about your food? And they're like, oh, I don't really have time for this and that. I was like, I'd rather you spend more time on that than, hitting HIIT training or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it kind of like beating your head against the wall sometimes, trying to get people?
It is.
Yeah.
It is, but with love. I'm just in here like, I know where you're at, and I feel 100% where you're coming from, because I've been there.
Yeah.
But looking back at myself, I mean, like, my 18-year-old self would be impressed with what I'm at now. And that makes me feel really good. But now I want to know what my 35-year-old self is going to say to my current 33.
That's a good point that I overlooked and didn't even think about that perspective of it too, though, is that while our 10 years from now might be disappointed in what we're currently doing, if we reflect on, okay, if we could go back and have this conversation with our 18-year-old self or our 10-year or 20-year-old self, they actually might be super freaking impressed. So you might, so it's important to not also overlook the giant strides and progress that you've made in so many different ways. And I feel like there's countless ways to kind of recognize that as well. But no, that's a great point that you pointed out. So is that your 18-year-old self would be super pumped with where you are now and your confidence level and the control you're taking in your life as well. And then I think that, the future self, especially if they look at like, well, shit, if solely at 30 or 33 or whatever age you are, I forgot what you are, if that dude didn't make those changes, then my 45-year-old self would be in a way, way worse spot. So that exactly, it's all about just kind of starting that dialogue and just seeing kind of what that would look like. It might just make you feel better in the moment, or it might be a fire under your ass.
Yeah, well, I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I like that as well. Chris says, yes, 1 and 3-year-old. I thought I had that. I think it's good to frame it as, okay, it's hectic now. What will your days look like for health and fitness? And then brainstorming the baby steps to get any gains to work toward that. Exactly. So I feel like anybody who says my life is just hectic right now, they've probably said that for years. That probably hasn't changed, and it's probably not going to change anytime soon for the most part. You might be waiting till you're retired, but shit, if you wait till you're retired to make healthy lifestyle changes, you can make a dent in things, but you're not going to make a world-changing change in your life, essentially. But so I think, all right, so you're saying what will your ideal days look like for health and fitness? And then work towards that. Okay, so you're saying in a perfect week, what would I be accomplishing in terms of my health and fitness? How would my confidence be? How would my energy be? What does that perfect week or that perfect month look like? And now, where am I at now? And what are some actionable steps that we can be taking? And that's obviously kind of what we're doing here in Thriving Lives. Is a lot of people, everybody starts in completely different ways, different areas, different experience levels. So some people start off just thriving from day one, week one, and after 2 weeks, they're already looking and feeling amazing. Some people it's a lot longer, and some people it's a shit. We got to back off. And we got to just focus on 2 healthy meals a day and a little bit better water intake. And then it's just baby steps from there. But as long as you're taking those baby steps, there's still steps in the right direction with it. I think my question too with that though is, and getting somebody outside of TLF to kind of reflect in the same way is way different, way harder than it is to actually have you sitting here having this conversation with me. But during our most hectic weeks, our busiest weeks, our worst times of the year, we want to raise whatever your normal baseline is. So like I always kind of will pose this question to a client that's been, doing great and they've made amazing changes, but then they've had a couple bad weeks. And so I like to kind of ask them, okay, you've had a couple shitty weeks, but how do these couple shitty weeks compare to 6 months ago before you were ever part of TLF? What would a shitty week look like then in terms of like a really, really bad week then? Well, it's night and day. Your worst week now with TLF is probably your best week well before TLF. So as long as you're raising the baseline, you're raising the median or the mean of what your life looks like, then that's the trend line that we want to see. If your worst days used to be fucking 0 ounces of water, a bunch of hard alcohol and fast food all day long, and now your worst day is 60 ounces of water and maybe one beer for stress, and you still had 1 or 2 protein shakes, maybe even a healthy meal on top of that, and that's your worst day. Yeah, you didn't get to the gym, but you still controlled those things. So again, now your baseline, your worst week or your worst day is, again, what your best would have ever looked like in the very, very first place. Chris has said, like, I'm putting protein shakes items in the blender during dinner to make it breakfast because there are so many moving pieces with little kids in the AM. That's a baby step. You're 100% right. I feel like baby stage is surviving hour by hour, then toddler life is surviving day by day. And I have no experience in any of that stuff, but I can only assume that is all 100% spot on. I'm sure Chase could kind of, relate to that same thing as well. But so like Chris is saying, her baby step is, well, shit, the morning is going to, be busy, hectic, and it's going to be hard to kind of get everything I need done. So what can I simplify right now when the baby's asleep or when the baby's shower, in the bath or whatever that looks like, while you're making dinner? What can I do now to make tomorrow morning super simple, super easy? I'm getting up and going. For me, at different times throughout kind of the past 5 or 6 years, I've had to do really early morning workouts. And that's not even really early compared to what some people do. Some people get them at 4 a.m. Sometimes I'm having to get up at like 5:30 a.m. But regardless, whatever that is, it's still early. And so what always helped me was, okay, what's going to make me the most successful in terms of getting to the gym at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, whenever it is I have to, because that's what my day looks like. So what can I do in the evening to make sure that that is very, very smooth? So I have my gym clothes laid out. I've got my work clothes laid out or in a bag. I've got my meals. Instead of just taking my 2 or 3 meals to work with me every single day now, I've got a mini fridge in my office. Not everybody has that luxury, but I do. So I put in an entire 10 days or 5 days worth of meals. So I don't have to worry about forgetting it at home or bringing it or whatever the case is. I'm locked and loaded, and I'm efficient with this stuff. So that's kind of what it comes down to, is what can you make efficient? What can you, simplify? What can you delegate sometimes, if that's what needs to happen in order for you to be on top of things? And then again, that comes back to, all of you, you guys that are here, the people who usually on these Zoom calls are also very, very good about communicating. If they're having a struggle, if they don't really know what the solution is to get up and get out the door in the morning, we can have this conversation and brainstorm together about what that kind of looks like. I can't necessarily do it for you, but if we have that conversation together, I can at least be a resource to help provide solutions and workarounds to whatever your struggle is. So Krista, obviously way to figure that out on your own with it. And then obviously way to always communicate when you're needing something else, from me, or advice or solutions and stuff like that. Appreciate you sharing. Chase, on these calls, you don't have to share anything. You don't have to have your screen on if you don't want, but obviously the more interaction we get and the more, you ask away, the more you get out of things as well, though. So I'm not putting you on your spot. Obviously, if you have thoughts, questions.
I got you.
You got it, man.
Yeah, it's just a matter of I'm on a ton of Zoom calls all week, so it's not a big deal to me.
I got you.
Actually, I love Zoom. You can get a lot more shit done a hell of a lot quicker.
You are right. No commute time.
Well, there's nothing that beats belly to belly in person, but
yeah,
Zoom's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, it's just a matter of and my phone might die in a minute, but for me, it's just a matter of merging it in. I mean, we're all busy, but that's why I asked you earlier, like, hey, just tell me the times.
Yep.
Because I have the time. I'm super, super busy. Traveling a ton.
Yeah.
We got 3 kids, obviously, been married 22 years, blah, blah, blah. So we're busy. We got, the kids are in volleyball, they're in surfing, they jump competitive horses, this and that. I was in Tennessee for 2 weeks. I'm leaving to Kansas soon. Then I go to Kentucky. I come back. We're moving. Okay, everyone's got shit going on.
Yeah,
everyone's busy. Like, there's no excuse. Now it's just a matter of, and I don't have any more than the other girl that has the small kids on this call. She's got a ton of stuff going on. It's just different. I'm dealing with 19-year-olds, and attitudes, and 16-year-olds with getting a new cars and the attitudes and new boyfriends. So it's just a different problem. You know what I mean?
Different problems, different struggles. You're 100% right.
Yeah, it's a different deal. But yeah, it's just a matter of merging it into traffic. But the big thing is just making once you make, like with me, it's just making the decision.
Yep. Just to start.
It's just, I just haven't made the decision. As you know, I have massive heart issues and people dying in their 60s all over my family of heart issues. And I've been overweight for a long time, and I'm fucking tired of it.
Yeah.
So, but it's just a matter, but I haven't made the decision. I just keep going on and going on.
Yeah.
And it's freaking difficult. It is damn difficult, but I just have to make the decision and merge it in traffic. You know what I mean?
100%, because I mean, it doesn't take a lot of extra time to do the things correctly. It just comes down to making the changes, which is the scariest part, and by far the hardest part. But you have better energy because of it, and you feel better because of it.
Right.
And you still have all the same struggles you just mentioned, except now you don't have the added stress of, well, fuck, when's my heart going to give out, or whatever, that kind of looks like.
I mean, we're all freaking busy. We all got stuff going on. No one's more busy and this and that. And no, you're not. No, you're not. You have plenty of time. You have plenty of time to do shit. You have plenty of time to call people back. You have plenty of time to answer messages. I hate when people do that.
Yep.
What's up?
I said it just wasn't a priority for that person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm choosing to eat every day. I guarantee you that. It's just a matter of what I'm choosing to eat.
100%. That's definitely good. Well, Chase, I love it, man. I hope you can be on the Zoom calls always. Love the energy.
Anytime, man. If it goes into the schedule, then yeah, I'll just start putting it on the calendar.
Perfect. Well, I'm here every Wednesday, and I'll let everybody know ahead of time if I can't be here for some reason. But yeah, we'll be here every Wednesday at 7 o'clock our time, 5 o'clock your time.
You got it, man. And I appreciate everyone on the call talking. And you learn a lot from everyone.
Oh, 100%. Well, anyway, guys, any other questions, any other thoughts about this topic or any other questions about anything else? Chase, like I said, I will shoot you some times that work for me tomorrow.
Yeah, please. And then put those times in the like when I got to eat and all that stuff.
I'll do that. I'll do that right now, actually, when we hop off this.
So okay, cool. So I'll see it in the app or what?
Yep. I'll delete it and I'll make the adjustment.
Got it. Okay, cool.
All right, brother. Well, Krista, Soli, Chase, appreciate you guys being here as always. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning on check-in day. Chase, I have your check-in up. It'll be uploaded on there. Obviously, you haven't really started yet. So you don't have to reply to that, but it's a good way to kind of see what the questions will look like each week.
Okay.
Of what you or will be reflecting on. But
okay, cool. And then send me some time so we can chat tomorrow for just a little bit.
I got you.
Okay, cool.
Right. Have a good Wednesday night. I will talk to you guys on check-in day.
Take care. Thank you for doing this.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, Soli. Oh, okay.